Let us put ourselves in the shoes of a Palestinian. If I were Palestinian, I admit I would probably hold resentment toward Jews. To me, they would be invaders who have oppressed my people. As a normal civilian, I've heard that they have offered peace and that they have pulled out of Gaza, but some incidents have left a bad taste in my mouth. On top of this, my father and grandfather hated the Jews. I'm a Muslim, so to me Jews are an opposing culture and Christians support them. However, I don't have a lot of money. I struggle to put food on the table, and I worry about the future of my children. I'm beginning to get tired of these conflicts with Israel. I've lost cousins and uncles in these conflicts. Then October 7th came and we attacked the Jews. I heard rumors that our men raped women. I heard that we now hold men and women hostage. I also hear that we attacked civilians at a civilian event. I don't believe these claims. Following this, the Jews attacked and laid waste to Gaza. The reality is that we don't have a real military. I also voted for this Hamas group because they promised freedom from the Jews. I'm beginning to regret my vote, as there have been no free elections since, and they have killed their political opposition. At this point, I want peace. I want to see my children prosper. I would like to live a decent life without a huge war every decade. I hate this Hamas group. I hate that it seems they are willing to sacrifice my children just to see Jews dead. I want them to sign the peace agreements. I want my children to live. I want to move past this river to the sea mentality and build a future for my children.
All right, guys, I told you that we would talk about the conflict in Palestine, and we would go over that, and we would also put ourselves in the shoes of the Palestinians to figure out what we would do or what we think is fair as for them to do. Now, it's hard to sift through all their claims and find that which is true about what's been happening to the Palestinian people. But what we know is Israel's clearly made mistakes. What we know is Israel hasn't done everything perfectly. There's probably been times when they've mistreated the Palestinian people. And we also know that Israel tends to be kind of a more closed off kind of nation that likes to keep Israel a place for Jews to come to, a kind of a safe haven and a place for their people. After all, the Jewish people believe that they have some kind of right to be there. And this right is kind of self-righteous, right? This comes from God. It's divine. They are supposed to be there because of divine purpose. And that's truly what they believe. So, of course, typically, most Jewish people want Israel to be for Jewish people. Now, everyone freaks out about this, and everyone thinks like this is just the biggest problem. We've kind of already talked about this. If Israel doesn't want my black ass, then I'll just go somewhere else. It's not as if Israel's the last remaining democracy and Israel's the only place I can go to have a better life. No, if they don't want my black ass, then I'm sure Spain or Portugal will. And luckily they do. So why the frick would I complain about Israel wanting to have mostly Jews in Israel? I'll just go somewhere the frick else. I mean, you get what I'm saying? It's like reses in America. Of course they want their reses to mostly be with their people. They want their tribe there. It kind of makes sense. If they really don't want my black ass there, then I'll just move to the city. I don't know, I'll move to the next town over. It's really just not the biggest deal. I'd rather go where I'm liked. It's kind of like that guy or that couple who went to the gay bakery and they were like, no, make the cake for us gay people. And they were like, we're not making it. It's like, why the frick would you want their anti-gay cake anyways, bro? Like, go somewhere where you're wanted. If they don't want to bake you a cake, take your gay ass and go somewhere where they want to freaking bake you a gay cake. It's really that easy, right? So if Israel don't want my black ass, I'm going somewhere else. It's really that simple. I ain't got time for all that. All right? Of course, they want Jewish people there. That's the majority that they want. This kind of works in the world oftentimes. It kind of looks something like this. Maybe kind of like HOAs. Right? We all think, well, HOAs are fair. They don't really discriminate. Well, it turns out that with the HOA fees that are associated with the certain rules and stuff that they have, that is their way of going around and making sure a certain group of people typically aren't going to be allowed in by the masses or by a certain percentage. By HOAs coming up, HOAs have kind of ensured that only certain ethnic groups will be involved in their communities. And everyone thinks, oh, well, that's fine, right? That's fair, because then HOAs they're not discriminatory. They're just based off of merit. They're just based off of standards, right? If you can't meet those standards to be in an HOA, then you shouldn't be there. I mean, I would have to agree. You might not agree. I don't know what you think about that, but fair enough. All right, so we're putting ourselves in the shoes of the Palestinian people. Well, what are the Palestinian people? Well, the Palestinian people are mostly Muslims. That's what they mostly are. The Palestinian people are a people that voted in Hamas. They voted him in. Now Hamas won't leave. And he's there. And he's a terrorist. And he's going to terrorize his people. And he has. It seems to be pretty self-evident to me that Hamas is a group. Remember, they're a group, not just one person. Hamas doesn't really care about its civilian population. Now, this also stems from their ideals about death and victory. There is victory for them in death, right? If they're fighting for what they believe, and they're progressing the name of Allah, in the name of Allah they do their things, well then if they die doing that thing, then that's all right? 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 civilians. Well, if they die for Allah, I mean, how much better can this get, right? How much better can this get but to die for Allah, dying for what you believe in, right? That's kind of your faith, right? Who has more faith than the man who's willing to lay his life down? Now, Christians typically have some kind of version of this that we sometimes see. Their version is just not quite as extreme. Their version typically doesn't bring them to allow the death of that many of their civilians. Which is why in Western countries, typically what you see are democracies and not tyrannies. Because people have realized in Western countries, holy smokes, man, you know what's really nice is basic rights. What's really nice is freedoms. What's really nice is elections and making sure people who don't deserve to be in power are not in power. You know, those things are really nice. Kind of makes sense, right? Yeah. So let's put ourselves in the shoes of the Palestinian people. You're a Palestinian. What you've seen is the occasional mistreatment of your people by the Jews. You don't really like them. You don't really like them. There's been a history between you and the Jews prior to you being born, and during the time you've grown up, what you've experienced is some wrongdoings. And you've experienced the occasional conflict with the Jews. They are kind of just your natural enemy. Your people have fought back on the occasion, but you don't really have a real military to work with here. So you're kind of a weaker people with not so much a real military, and you don't really have the kind of independence other countries have. I mean, your name Palestine isn't even what you chose for your people. It was given to you by Egypt. So you don't even have a name for your people. You don't really have a military. You keep voting in corrupt leaders. Now, what kind of Palestine do we want to be in this story? Do we want to be the Palestine that wants basic rights and freedoms so we, don't vote in tyrants? Or do we want to be the Palestinian that votes in groups like Hamas, and then we scream for help like sheep? Which ones do we want to be? Let's say we're the Palestinians that actually like basic rights and basic freedom, so we wouldn't have voted in someone like Hamas in the first place. Well, what would that look like? To be in the shoes of a Palestinian that wanted something more for their children and something more for their people. Let me tell you what that would look like. Number one, I'm not going to vote for Hamas. Number two, I'm going to protest and I'm going to seek peace with Israel and other surrounding countries. Number three, I'm going to implement a more free market in my nation so my people can produce, they can be free, and they can have access to, basic foods that they need for health and for nutrition. Number four, I'm going to want to bring some of that wealth from the top 15% and bring it down to my bottom 50%. I'm going to want them to be able to be somewhat successful in their own lives and have a likelihood of experiencing success. I want them to experience peace. I want them to be able to think that they're going to be able to take care of their children, that they're going to be able to provide for their children's basic needs. That's what we want. That's really what we're looking for, right? Those are the steps that I would take as a Palestinian that wants more for my children and my next generation. Those are the steps I would take. I would stop yelling stupid crap like from the river to the sea. I would stop yelling that. I really don't care. I really don't care. If Israel offers me a peace agreement, some kind of partition, some kind of 2001 agreement, well, I'm going to take it. Does this mean that we can finally stop the wars? Does this mean that I can finally provide some kind of future for my children? I'm going to take it. We seek peace first. We don't have a real military. Israel does. There's no way, in effect, that we're going to actually be able to do anything against them. Any move that we take against Israel, other than accepting the partitions and the peace agreements which we are offered, is an act of foolishness that will damn my children to death. Why would I make decisions that will ensure the death of my children? Why, as a weaker people, would I start a war with a stronger nation when I know that's going to cost the lives of all my children? Well, as the Palestinian I'm referring to, I simply wouldn't. Why the frick would I do that? So I signed the peace agreement. I agree. I drop all this Jew-hating bullcrap that's freaking useless. Why is that even a freaking thing? And I'd focus on actually, like feeding my children, making sure their basic needs are met, making sure to implement a free market system, making sure we elect free leaders, and making sure the Muslim religion or the tenets of my faith that I have are consistent with a free people, are consistent with basic rights. So if my version of being a Muslim means that I hate Jews, well then, maybe I need to find a new freaking religion. Maybe I need to find a new religion. If your religion is leading to the deaths of so many amount of your civilians every decade, and the suffering of your children, maybe you need a new freaking religion. Have we ever considered that? Maybe it's just not freaking working. I would say the same gosh dang thing about Christians. I mean, let's look at Catholicism for a moment. It seems like in Catholicism, there's kind of a problem with touching little boys. It seems like there's a freaking problem. Like, if this shit doesn't stop, I'm about to just say, maybe you need to find a new freaking denomination. Maybe that denomination ain't working. Yeah, yep, I said it. Yeah. But anyways, so it can go both ways. It can go both ways. The religions, the faiths that we should support, you will know them by the fruits that they bear. The fruits that Christianity has borne are Western civilizations with basic human rights, with opportunities to go from some of the poorest 25 percentile to the top rich 70 to the top rich, well, more like, how would I say that? You know what I'm saying? From the lowest economically to the top economically. Those opportunities are absolutely present for you in these Western countries that Christianity has created. That's why we support Christianity. I myself am not a Christian. I myself, however, appreciate the life that I have. I appreciate the basic freedoms I have. I appreciate not being fearful for what might happen to my daughter, which I would be in 90% of Muslim countries. I would be. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's just the freaking truth. It's time to stop playing around and stop playing stupid games. I'm so tired of it. No, I don't want my freaking daughter going to a Muslim country ever. Or my wife. Not really, no. I would never allow her to go to some of those countries alone. I don't care if it's Dubai. She's not going to freaking Dubai alone. That's just the reality. That's just the reality. It is the same logical thinking that you should have. When you live in a community, and in the community, 75% of all your violent crimes are being committed by black people. So, if a random black guy who isn't well dressed, who doesn't exactly look the most well put, walks on the same side of the sidewalk as me, guess what? Me and my son are moving to the other side. I don't give a shit. We're moving to the other side. It's really that simple. Why? Well, if the statistic is 75%, well then, yeah, I'm going to judge you on your looks. I'm going to judge this book by its cover, and I'm going to make a decision immediately because I'm thinking about the well-being of my son, and I'm going to cross the freaking sidewalk. I'm going to cross the other side of the road. It's really that simple. And you know what? I'm not even going to feel bad about it. I'm just not. I'm just not. Okay? So I'm giving you examples of how it can happen for all different kinds of circumstances. I'm not freaking Islamophobic. What would you even call it? Yeah, Islamophobic. I'm not. I bet you Saudi Arabia is a good country. A great country. With a great people. Any country that can afford their population a decent life with decent wages, with basic human rights, is a good society. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what clothes you wear, what the color of your skin is. If you can afford your people a decent life, then I love you, man. I love your culture. I love your country. I'd love to go there. Heck, maybe it'd be a great place to live. But if you can't, screw your freaking culture, screw your religion, and screw your ideals. Screw them all. They suck. They suck. If you can't take care of your own people and ensure the prospering and the lives of your own civilians, you suck. It's really that simple. I don't know why we just keep beating around these stupid bushes. They suck. Now back to our shoes. I'm so sorry, guys. I get so carried away, and it's so hot over here where I am, man. Hot as hell. Back to being in the shoes of the Palestinians. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. But as the Palestinian, I've already told you what I'd support and what I'd do. That's what I would do if I was in the shoes of the Palestinian. That's what I would do. And no, I wouldn't like Jews if I was Palestinian. I wouldn't like them. I just have simply a bad taste in my mouth because of the history and because of the mistakes they had made. I'd have a bad taste in my mouth. Screw the Jews. Screw them. But you know what? I got better things to do. Like take care of my family. Like live tomorrow. You know, those things. I got better things to do than kill Jews. I really do. And that's exactly what I would do. So if I was in the shoes of the Palestinians, that's exactly how it would go. That's how it would go. Yeah. Not what you were expecting? Not quite what you were expecting? Yeah. Yep. Look up who decided not to sign the peace agreements, then come back. Then come back. If you have an opportunity for peace and you don't take it, you're a fool and you suck. You suck because of the amount of lives that you lost, and you suck because of what you put your children through. You freaking suck. I mean that with all due disrespect. All the disrespect I can think of. I mean that. Yeah. Yep. That'll be it for today.